Michael Knowles YouTube video. He put out this little video. I'm not on TikTok, but it's apparently a video that went viral on TikTok. And it was about this woman who is kind of sort of professing her deep sadness in terms of why she feels she needs to leave her marriage. And I think a lot of people, it sounded like, applauded her in what she was saying. And I'm listening to this, and obviously Michael Knowles and I share the same views on it. It's completely disgusting. So let me play a little bit here. Well, let me show you why I think it's a pretty sad state of affairs if we're applauding this woman. And I'm sure not everyone did. I did not realize that this was a viral video, but I'm not surprised it did become a viral video. So have a listen. Here we go.
There's a woman who's gone viral. Oh, this was sad. Chaos with Camille, I guess, is her handle. She went viral for explaining why she is divorcing her perfectly nice husband whom she loves.
Earlier this year, I told my husband I wanted a divorce. And this would probably shock a lot of my friends and my family because I hadn't told anybody, okay? I walked myself through the logistics of where would I live, how would we split the time with the kids, who gets the dog, where all of those things, okay? Had a full breakdown. I feel like I have been searching for something in my relationship that we don't have for the whole time we've been married, which has been 10 years. There is not a single thing about my husband in and of himself that I do not love. Let me be very clear about that. He is the most self-disciplined, loyal, hardworking, good person that you could meet on this planet. And that is probably the reason why I have not left. Okay? Our relationship and what my expectations are for my marriage and what they always happen are not met, right? Which I don't know if anybody's are. The reason that pushed me to even bring up divorce and talk about it was the fact that I feel like I can't be myself with my husband. And it's really confusing because I'm 32 years old. I am a mom of 3. And I still don't know who I am.
Okay.
So, yeah, you heard it. She left her good, loyal husband because she didn't feel like herself anymore. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to bash her right from the beginning because I'm a therapist and I have a lot of empathy for women who come into my office and say to me, I don't know where, in my marriage I lost myself, but I'm definitely not the person that I was back in my 20s or back in university, or you know what? Even myself, I remember having these thoughts years ago, probably like 10, 15 years ago, where in times where I was struggling with my marriage, and if you've been watching me for a while, like you probably know my story. I did separate from my husband at one point, and I'll admit, kind of this same little narrative that she's playing right now that she made public, which is one of the reasons I'm so glad, this whole Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff was not in my hand, at the time. It was like, obviously, it was out there. I just wasn't using it. And the only reason I use YouTube, Instagram, I'm going to start using less. Facebook, don't like it at all. But one of the reasons is like, why, when especially like struggling, people want to make that so public, because you know what? That's out there for a lifetime. And you might be making some big, big mistakes in getting on video and putting it out there for people to play over and over again, because this woman, I'm quite certain, is going to really regret saying and doing what she's doing right now. Because, I mean, like I say, I have some compassion for her. I don't call her the words that Michael Knowles does, but it's a real statement of where our culture is at right now and how it's slowly rotting and eroding from what's all sacred and good and divine and truth and beauty. Because clearly, as she states, and no one else, there is no betrayal in this marriage, there is no abuse in this marriage, just some sort of weird, vague discomfort that she's experiencing. She can't even describe it well. It's just like, I don't know. It's just a feeling. What? And people are applauding her for it. This is insanity. You're going to end a 10-year marriage with 3 children because of you not feeling yourself. You know what? The reason you're not feeling yourself is because you probably have needed to sacrifice and suffer for this marriage. You probably had to sort of go out of what you feel is comfortable for this marriage. You probably had to help this man in his weaknesses at times when he needed it. Do you lose yourself in doing so? No, I don't think you lose yourself. You gain a lot in doing those sort of things when you sacrifice for another person, when you will the good of another person over your own will, when you sacrifice for someone. Am I the 20-year-old in third year university anymore where I laughed a lot. I had great times with my friends. I freely did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, for the most part, as long as I was dedicated to my grades and my classes, and morally and ethically, I took a pretty narrow street path in life for the most part. Anyway, what I'm saying is, of course I'm not myself anymore. Of course I'm not myself, but I feel like I'm a better person for it. I feel like I'm a better person for the suffering that I've done throughout my life, and the suffering that I'm going to do a lot more in my life. Because I know one thing, guys, being married almost 28 years now, 3 adult children, I know that suffering is a part of my life. And I know that it's going to sanctify me and bring me more and more and more joy. This is where people are missing it. This is where they're missing the plot, is that they feel your life, especially the married life, it's supposed to be all about happiness and all about joy. And that's what life is all about. This journey towards happiness and freedom, and I don't know, like some magic bullet that we were all like, I think I meant magic pill that we're all searching for. It's sort of like everything from Ozempic to primetime delivery to like everything that makes my life more comfortable, because you know what? Life is stressful. And yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is stressful. But this is what's so ironic about it. It's sort of like our ancestors and their ancestors before them had it a lot worse than we do. Our like AI, all our automation nowadays, everything that pertains to faster, bigger, stronger, more powerful, we can see how that's not making any of us happier. And in fact, it's making our lives much, much more fragile. We are so weak now compared to what we were before, in terms of our our tolerance with things, our resilience, our perseverance. Like we we're so weak as a generation now compared to our ancestors that came before us. Look at all, like, I'm sure some of you that are listening right now, you're sons and daughters of immigrant parents, and when you look at them and you see the sacrifice they made, or the wars, the veterans, the sacrifices they made for our country, where they laid down their lives easily for another person, for their country. And when we think of what Jesus did for us, and we're complaining that we're not feeling quite right now, and therefore we need to exit, I'll link a couple other videos here. One I did on relativism. Yeah, these last few videos, like, they all have the same theme that I just feel like we need to talk about more. It's just sort of like this. We're Our culture is brainwashing us to choose comfort over anything else in our lives, and that's what's going to make us happy, to give into our lustful ways. This is just simply, my sexual drive. I mean, what do you want a man to do? It's sort of like, this is who I am. What kind of man are you? Are you an animal, or are you someone who's faithful to your wife? Please, like, that's just disgusts me. Like, how weak are you as a human being? If you can't keep your eyes on your wife and no other woman, like, get a grip, you know? Like, but back to this woman here, like, this isn't just one woman's misguided decision. It's a symptom of, like I said, our cultural water that we're all swimming in, and we're becoming very accustomed to its temperature. Heaven forbid we jump into a cold lake where it's very uncomfortable. You know, it's a culture that treats marriage as a mood instead of a mission. Marriage is a vow. It's not a vibe, guys. It's not something that just changes, depending how we wake up one day. It's, in this viral clip, she says, I love everything about him. He's the most loyal, self-disciplined man I know, but I don't feel like I can be myself. Do you hear, like, the contradiction she's making? She admits he's a good man, yet she's willing to break a covenant for the sake of a feeling? I mean, whether she got married in a church or not, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about, I'm sure, like, she said the vows to him in sickness or health. You know, this is not even a sickness. It's not like the man has a neurological disorder or MS and he can no longer work, and whatever. It's like, I don't got the vibe anymore. This is where modern love stories go off the rails, because we've been taught that love is measured somehow by how it makes us feel in the moment. But I love St. John Paul II and Pope John Paul II, and he reminds us love is not a feeling, it's a decision. Like, we need a man who's never been married in his life to tell us this. You might say, oh, it's because he's never been married that he can say it. No, he says it because he knows what's true and beautiful and good, and what is actually sacred and divine and in order. And he knows that this is what's going to bring us to happiness. is to make the decision to love, even when it feels slightly uncomfortable. And again, I've said it before, you've heard me say it again. Thomas Aquinas defined it even more plainly. It is to will the good of the other. And I just want to remind you of that over and over and over again. If your definition of love is rooted in how you feel today, your marriage will not survive tomorrow. It is that simple. I was on the brink of it. Thank God I did not go ahead with, we were separated. I got myself out of that. Thank the Lord every single day. Like I said, I made another video on relativism, and in there, I dive deeply into it. And what relativism says is truth is whatever you want it to be. You make up the truth. Isn't that convenient? That my vows are optional if they stop serving me because of my selfishness. When truth becomes relative, guys, marriages become disposable. It's that simple. So I'm making this one short because, I really encourage you to check out that other video I did on relativism, because I get into a little bit more deeper there. Yeah, watch it next. But for now, I just felt like I really appreciated Michael Knowles bringing this video to me, because it's just sort of like, what a great example of what I see. you know I shouldn't see that. I mean, the people that at least come to me have sought out therapy and are really trying to use proper discernment, and thankfully, they come to me, or any other therapist, with this very, very important decision that you're going to make. I wonder if she has a therapist, and if she has a therapist that's applauding her and encouraging her and validating her, that therapist needs to get another vocation, needs another job, because you're just taking this woman's money, like validating her, in this decision she's going to regret for the end of her life. How can you live with yourself if you're going to do that? Tell her the truth. Don't tell her what's going to make her feel good and console her. Have compassion for her, but set the truth straight with her, that she is being completely selfish and that she's not thinking about her children. Like, come on. That's a whole nother topic. Like, I'm sure there's some terrible, terrible therapists out there that are more concerned with validating and making some money and having that person come to them over and over and to be validated, instead of being uncomfortable in the therapy office and going, you're wrong. Get your life straight, man, woman, Men, you're being completely lustful. What's wrong with you? Be a man. Control your sexual desires. Don't, I teach people what sex is supposed to be like. And if you want to understand that more, reach out, because when sex is used as it should be to not only procreate or give life, but to be always open to life. And also, like, people don't understand that when they practice, natural family planning, or being in abstinence of sex, I should say, when they practice proper birth control, which in terms of natural family planning and not to contraceptives, yeah, you have to get uncomfortable sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you want to have sex, but you can't because, well, obviously, menstrual cycles, either financially or emotionally or whatever, have another child, that you abstain from sex. And so this is not our culture. It's sort of like, I want what I want when I want it, and I want it all the time. And I don't believe in abstinence. I don't believe, like, but that's why it's just turned into such, when women become objectified, and a means to an end. Like, it's It's the state that we're in right now, and people have it so wrong, guys. Like, when we start understanding what marriage is supposed to be, what the sexual act is supposed to be, it turns into something so deeply connected and orchestrated and whole and beautiful that we don't suffer anymore. Like, of course, there's always going to be suffering in a marriage, but um, I don't know, when you honor your spouse, when you truly love your spouse and you will their good, always willing their good, there's such a beautiful harmony that happens there, and no one feels objectified. It's a beautiful thing. And it was always meant to be like that if we do it right. So, with that, I'm going to get back to my business of being a therapist. And, you know, we got to get it out of the culture that treats suffering as a failure, that you're doing something wrong. If it hurts, it must be wrong. If I'm uncomfortable, it must be wrong. But that's not the way Jesus meant for it to be. He says, take up your cross. You know, pain in marriage doesn't always mean it's over. Sometimes it means you need to look more towards God, and God is pruning you, and He's sanctifying you and making you more like Him. You know, yeah, I think we've all been duped. We've been told to avoid discomfort at all costs, when in reality, discomfort can be the place where love matures. Marriage was never meant to be man-made. It's not man-made. It's divine. It's God designed, and it's designed simply to fulfill you in ways that you, once you understand, you get it. I'm telling you, once I got it, I got it. And you would never look at it any other way. And yeah, maybe this is a good time to let you know. I don't think I even talked about this before, but I have a course called Conjugal Love. It's up on my website now if you want to sign up for it. We're taking people on the wait list right now. It starts in October. It's all online. I'm not going to be asking a lot from you. It's for you to listen to maybe a 20-minute video once every 3 weeks. You'll be able to send me in your questions if you want. I'll host a Q&A. It's going to be very, very affordable. I don't even know the price yet, but I want people to have access to it. So believe me, cost is not going to be an option for you. And yeah, because I want to reach more people. I want more people to get what marriage is actually supposed to be like. And for you, you're going to find so much joy if you start practicing it that way. So hang in, guys. Don't become another one of these women out there, and men similarly. You know what? A contract says, if you do your part, I'll do mine. That's a civil contract. But a sacramental covenant says, I stay even when it's hard, even when I don't feel like it. There's a big difference between the two. And I hope you start aligning more and wanting more of the second, because it's going to mean discomfort, but your reward will be plenty, and it'll be 100% worth it. Believe me, I know, because I've lived through it. Let's not forget another thing. Who pays the highest price when we walk away? In her instance, 3 children. They're going to be torn between houses, routines, and identities. And for what? For a vague promise of finding myself. Let me remind you that children don't need perfect parents. They need present parents. They need parents that are together. So if you're struggling in your marriage, I hear you. But don't take pain for failure, guys. Sometimes pain is the path to resurrection. Don't listen to a culture that says leave when it's hard, please listen to the one who stayed all the way to the cross. So, again, marriage is not a vibe, it's a vow. And it's a vow that's very much worth keeping. Okay, till I see you next, have a good week. Let me know your thoughts. And thanks for watching. Always thanks for watching.